same today for G2, or will they try early game again?
And I want to see if Schalke is going to try the same setup, more scaling options, or if they're going to go for more early game here. Because you're right, with G2, we don't even know what the right choice is for the team because they've messed up both the late game and the early game. We want to see them come back, find some structure, find some consistency, and it's kind of a similar story for Schalke.
For sure, but it's important for G2 that Vitality lost earlier today. They got stumped. That means now if G2 win, they tie with Splice in second place, and that's then the fight for that second place for now.
And it's important because if they finish with the same record, they're 1-1 in the head-to-head. They will force a tiebreaker, Deficio.
Now, if you are Schalke, after yesterday's game where the late game or the team fighting worked for you, Upset had a great game, I think you could go towards that style again. I actually asked for more like aggressive picks for solo laners, more creativity. But if they've only been practicing this style for so long, then maybe that is the only thing they can play, and then they have to go for it. And I think Tristana is one of those picks that can give you fine early game, but also late game insurance, which is necessary.
Powerful pick in Europe for sure. Back in the hands of Upset. Played this the last time these two teams went toe-to-toe.
Also important to note that G2, they don't play Zyra Khan, clearly. It's not been picked once by them all split long, so it is going to be Varus picked by Hjärnan. It's a good item spike, AD carry, and it's a fine laning phase for him, but it's a tough champion to carry on. And that's where, again, it then shifts all the focus on PerkZ and Wunder to be the big carries.
And this is interesting. Schalke going back to putting Pride on the Kha'Zix, it really did not work out for them in the early weeks. Swapping the Sejuani was one of the better options. G2 have now taken that away. As you said, Hjärnan gets the Varus, a very comfortable pick to push lane. And Deficio, this tells me that it's not about the bot lane for G2, kind of as expected. They're looking to put the onus to carry somewhere else.
It's never been about the bot lane with this lineup from G2 eSports. And that's such a shift from when they had Sven and Mithy, and they could always rely on the late game of those two guys. Azir, blind. Fun fact, a lot of coaches like to say, oh, this is a great time to pick Azir. And they say that every game because, yeah, it's almost always a great time to pick Azir. And it's locked in blind, and PerkZ gets to respond with Corki. So we get a lot of scaling being matched on both sides in the mid lane. But this Kha'Zix pick here, Broxa picked up some early kills on it in the last game we saw with Fnatic. Can see the exact same thing for Pride.
1 and 2 so far for Pride, 1 and 4 for NukeDuck on the Azir. So not the most successful picks, but ones that are incredibly powerful. We have to see if this is the game where they're able to execute. Now, however, no top laners picked, so we're going to see some of them banned. Trundle, Camille taken off the table.
And I want to mention Cho'Gath, because both these teams struggle when it comes to securing Baron, or struggles when it comes to consistently win late game team fights. And then my good friend Cho'Gath makes it easier. 1, feast the Baron, 2, feast the tank in the team fight. Both, oh, so wonderful if that's where you're struggling. Sion is also available in this draft, but with the Trundle ban and the Shen ban from G2, it's really telling me they're just gonna blind pick either Sion or Cho'Gath instantly. Oh.
Cho'Gath an option.
I think you should take it, man. You need it if you're G2.
And you don't want to give Schalke a very good tank, because you look at Corki, you look at Varus, that is a ton of magic damage. Sejuani as well as magic damage. You're not diversifying your damage types. It means that Cho'Gath can cut through.
They might get Baron now.
There it is. Varus good at taking Baron. Jankos doesn't even have to smite. Wunder can do it. And now,
could we get Vizicsacsi on a counter pick?
This is what we asked for. When we said, Schalke, we want to see you improve. We said, put onus on individual players. You said earlier today, no one in Europe wants to take the carry matchup.
My heart.
You're right. No one in Europe wants to take the carry matchup.
No one wants. They want to just play a tank. And it's Vizicsacsi, Maokai. Never something we really put together. Not an iconic duo at all.
No. Dog champs for the former Spring Split champion. Or Spring Split MVP, rather. Not a champion.
More tanks. More tanks. Get more tanks in here.
So, Deficio, we got a lot of engage for Schalke. We've got 3 damage threats. On the opposite side for G2, we kind of have a damage threat in Cho'Gath, and we have the carry duo of PerkZ and Hjärnan. Who has the edge here? What are they looking to do?
Okay, love Cho'Gath on one side. Makes it easier to focus on the tank in the team fight or secure a Baron. But on the other side, the Azir Tristana combo, I think it's going to be easier to execute for Schalke specifically than a Varus in the late game for Hjärnan. It is a tough thing to play, especially against things like Alistar, who can always get in range to WQ. Just combo straight onto them, pop the ulti, and Varus then suddenly has to just kite around in fights and doesn't get to sit and just land a million auto attacks. So in that case, there are good things on both sides, but man, it comes down to big team fights. It comes down to killing the tanks first with 4 carries, 2 on each side, just hitting whoever is right in front of them. Big, long, drawn-out team fights. Cho'Gath Feast might become the MVP.
It might be. I mean, we've got 2 carries, 3 tanks, basically, against 2 tanks and 3 carries. Time to find out what's superior here.
And time to find out how Pride can play on this Kha'Zix. I think he's had a bad split.
Absolutely.
It's been one of the big problems for Schalke that he's never really figured out how to play with this lineup or what exactly to do on the map. And when you put him on Kha'Zix in this like full-on just big team fights, it's hard to execute that Kha'Zix because it's so hard to find an opening in the late game fights. He needs to try and get some advantage early on.
Pressure on Schalke to early snowball. We've seen it count against them so many times, but the Schalke fan out proud. Look at that man. He loves this team. He wants to see them win. They go toe-to-toe with G2 eSports. Final game of Week 8, folks. And Deficio, Pride in the early game, man. This is so interesting to me. I mean, he went from Rengar one trick to like on Rocket, doing all sorts of different stuff, back to tank duty here on Schalke, now back to Kha'Zix, a very aggressive champion. I really want to see what he can do.
Yeah, we know he can try and invade and duel the Sejuani 1v1. It's not super easy to kill her because she's so tanky and can often just dash away from you. And at the same time, when it comes to ganks, top lane could be a target. Maokai lockdown is great to set it up if you sneak in from the brush with a Kha'Zix. But then if the enemy jungler is there to counter gank you, very quickly can get turned around. So it's not an easy game for Pride to play with the Kha'Zix here, but a lot of the tank junglers were banned away. Schalke banned 2, 1 was banned on the side of G2, and then they grabbed the Sejuani as well, kind of pinched the entire tank jungle pool.
Limiting the options, Pride going back to something more aggressive. We've seen the Maokai be very clutch the last few games it was played in EU LCS in terms of setting up ganks on the top side of the map, so maybe it'll be easier for him. It's not a bluff, but it is strong.
Another setup is Alistar against Varus. Just talked about it before, how it's very hard for Varus to avoid getting comboed by an Alistar. And because Alistar then stays on top of him, no dashes from this Varus, you get to apply the stun from the E as well, and then suddenly there's a lot of change CC on a squishy AD carry. So Pride, I feel like, can look both mid and bot lane, where there is CC setup for him. So it's not like Schalke have drafted a comp where they're like, yeah, we don't care about him because we don't want to even try and set him up to succeed. No, they do have some crowd control to help him out.
And it's interesting in Deficio because both those lanes for G2 may just have the push. Because you see Varus very strong against these AD carries early on. So if they're pushed up, Pride has to pick which lane he wants to gank. And if he guesses wrong and he picks the lane with Jankos, it turns against him so quick. But if he guesses right, he can snowball a lane early on and give Schalke the victory they need.
Very quickly. And this day here, we had the top 5 teams play against the bottom 5 teams. So we could have had a situation where all top 5 teams just got a little bit further ahead, and all the bottom teams just stayed roughly the same, still tied in that 6th place, and no one got really an advantage in playoffs. But what's happened is Rocket and Giants both picked up wins. And Unicorns Love and H3K both lost. So we actually now have the situation where if Schalke lose to G2 Esports, they join H3K and Unicorns at the bottom, out of playoffs, a win behind the rest. But if they win,
they're right back into the thick of it.
Exactly.
They're right on the edge of their path to playoffs, 7-9 with the rest of the teams, that massive tie for 5th place. And for G2, they're still chasing Splice. They can't afford to misstep at all if they want that bye.
Let's see what happens early on here with Jankos moving around. Already killed the Rift Scuttler. He's pinging where he thinks Pride will be. Pride is fairly low on mana, but does have the blue buff. Sneaks in. This is what we talk about with top lane. Maokai's setup is so effective. Will they do something? Oh, I think they know there's a chance Jankos will be around, so they're not going to all in for any sort of gank. Because as we mentioned there with the counter gank, instantly Pride is dead. And then it's horrible for Schalke.
Bot lane for G2 actually backing off, conceding pressure to Schalke. Vander and Upstate able to push in for now. Good look for the team, both supports not being too aggressive in the use of the minion dematerializer. May want to save a few stacks for later in the game. Kind of all is quiet in this game. NukeDuck does get a bit of pressure, uses it to lay down some vision.
It's like a lot of scaling on both sides. Mid lane is not going to be that much action between Azir and Corki. Cleanse as well from NukeDuck against Sejuani. So not a setup where we are expecting a ton of early game action, but gives them more time to talk about Schalke specifically and how coming into this week after losing multiple games in a row, it felt like they were done. They were out of the race. But that's just not the case. And after winning yesterday, they have G2, then they play Fnatic next week. Those were 2 games when I looked at the schedule and said, okay, those are 2 losses for Schalke. So at maximum they can win 2 games out of the remaining 4. I don't believe that anymore. I think they have a legit chance of beating G2 today. And that might actually put them at 3 wins out of the last 4 games, and then they're potentially in playoffs.
So what's so terrifying about such a close season is without a couple wins to keep you ahead of the competition, every game matters. You don't get to sit on your high horse here at the end of the season for G2, despite having some very good games.
Yeah, and of course this means that Schalke have to win today, because with Fnatic and the way they're playing, that's not a realistic win for them next week. So this game is super important also just for that confidence. If you have losing and losing and losing, if you can get a 2-0 week here in this playoff race, that's fantastic for a team like Schalke. Let's see what happens. Pride and Jankos find each other for now.
Waiting around, both of them hovering around the mid lane, ready to make a difference there if necessary, but just playing chess with each other in terms of vision. Pride really not sure where Jankos is headed. Neither one of them, interestingly enough, has any camps, so they both have the free time to play vision tag with each other.
But because nothing happened top, Wunder, he sits with the winning matchup. This Cho'Gath can just perma push 24/7. Bot lane is even, mid lane is even. So it's just Wunder at the moment getting advantage. That's something, G2, they've been missing this. And I talked about this yesterday in the post-game lobby, how it felt like after GP fell out of meta, it really hurt Wunder and G2 eSports, because suddenly they didn't have this champion that could get a big goal lead early, because Wunder played the laning phase well, and then also be a carry late game.
And if Wunder isn't performing, if he's not on those GPs, I feel like it puts even more onus onto PerkZ, because Hjärnan isn't playing a carry champion. This game he's playing Varus. Yes, he can do an insane amount of damage, but it's not a Tristana, right? And when we look at the way that these guys...
he's just not performing like a big carry.
It's very true.
On one of the best teams, because like if you are insanely good and on form, you can carry on Varus for sure in the late game, but I think Cho'Gath can do a little bit of what the GP can do well in the laning phase, get a bit of an advantage, and then be super valuable in the late game still. So it's not a big carry, but at least Wunder can be active from early on to late game, which is needed, because it's him and PerkZ who are the 2 big carries on G2.
All right, well, for now, Jankos very proactive in mapping out the early pathing of Pride. Despite Pride not finding a ton of success on this Kha'Zix pick in the past, Jankos still giving him the respect he deserves. Upset taking a bad trade there. Hjärnan and Wadid controlling the lane quite well. CS not really a significant lead, but Varus approaching level 6 is a big deal for this bottom lane. A lot more damage with that ult, especially when it applies the blight stacks. Level 6 is coming out, Deficio. With Jankos getting his ult shortly, I feel like this might be the point where we start to see more aggression, more active play from the side of G2.
They probably don't feel like they have to do too many things. Oh, bot lane, small little trade, but yeah, scaling comp versus scaling comp, guys, it becomes a farm fest. G2, after not closing out yesterday, did exactly what happened last time. They just said, all right, don't want to play early game, want to play late game now.
Oh, this is
Wunder
bad news
might
for
try and kill
Vizicsacsi. He might just be able to get the solo kill here. Luckily, Vizicsacsi has the passive. Gives him enough healing to stay in this one, but cannot really afford to go low in this laning phase.
Oh, Wunder didn't have ult. Never mind. It was on cooldown.
Feasted a minion. Needed the stack. Does kind of lower the kill pressure, but not really something you need in a tank v tank lane. And Deficio, do you remember the last time these teams played? Do you remember what happened?
Yes.
It was the Caps NukeDuck show, man. It was the LeBlanc versus the Zoe. This time, they're both playing late game scaling carries. It's a little bit different.
Right. Good for G2 as well. They've swapped in PerkZ instead of Caps for this matchup this time around.
Yeah, there you go. NukeDuck, PerkZ, Caps.
Good mid laners. Same thing, almost. But yeah, Zoe LeBlanc. Was there one game where it felt like Schalke said, NukeDuck, great mechanics, you're unleashed.
Be free, my son.
Go, carry us. After that game, after they lost, they said, NukeDuck, you
died to that one shot from PerkZ at bottom lane. Yep. Never again.
Never allowed to play any fun champions. He has Galio every game, and now Azir.
And then he died a lot on the Galio, and they no longer let him play
no Galio for you either.
Back to Azir. PerkZ. NukeDuck really hates this matchup. That's my new theory. Corki seems to be a struggle for him. A very good Corki player himself, though. And PerkZ with the package, just constantly threatening. Maybe could look for the all-in. Cleanse available for NukeDuck. PerkZ just going to use the package to clear the wave.
Oh, around mid, Wander shows up. I don't know why I call him Wander instead of Vander. Wanter the Wanderer.
I think you should name every player in the EU LCS.
You know, I used to call him Vander Life.
Oh, that's
he used
fair.
to play Thresh all the time.
I remember those days.
And he would hook everyone. It's a long time ago.
Do you remember when
a veteran?
Wadid was a playmaker on Rocket?
I remember that.
The Xayah Rakan days. I'm kind of. It's surprising to me that this game we didn't see any kind of Xayah Rakan action.
It just feels like G2 knows they should play around solo laners and not the bot lane, and that's why they don't pick it. But could try at least, because it could definitely be a big thing for Hjärnan and Wadid. But in this game still, we're kind of waiting for Pride to decide if he wants to gank a lane or not. It's been just a farm fest so far. He's now looking.
Don't pressure him. He's taking his time, Deficio.
Hey,
he's figuring it out. Where does he got to go?
Well, he got the warrior enchant, so his damage is pretty high. Let's see if he sneaks into mid.
Oh, do some good damage. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. This man, passive for like 8 weeks, comes into a win or lose games and just says, yeah, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to bring it home.
See, I love this about Kha'Zix, the fact that you can get stealth from the mid lane brush, then pop your own ulti to remain stealth, and then you can actually just show up in front of them and they don't see you. And the warrior enchant, he just completed, made him kill someone.
Bot lane lockdown, he doesn't get the input buffer, he's dead. Whoa, junglers making stuff happen. Deficio, you want a scaling game. Junglers say no. They're here to kill people.
For now, 1 kill each. Still remain true that it's all about scaling and farming. Good play from Pride first. Can do it again. PerkZ lost his flash from that play before, and you can just sneak in. The control ward in the mid lane brush. Passive from the R, then pop the R, and then you get the kill. Meanwhile, bot lane, I like the response here from G2. And 1-1. Good kill, a very important kill for a Rageblade AD carry.
And this is the thing, Upset doesn't have a lot of defensive options from Vander. Yes, he can headbutt people away, but if one form of CC connects, the immediate follow-up is there. He has to pick what to input buffer, but when there's a Varus ult and a Sejuani ult, as long as G2 wait, they can hit him with something.
Looks like we're getting a lane swap from Schalke. G2 are matching it, just walk towards mid lane and then deciding, okay, let's go top. So every lane just swaps around, no one is going to get a big turret advantage because of it. I want to see Pride either go back mid or just go up top and try and kill Hjärnan with these Alistar all in. You got Alistar ulti ready. PerkZ uses TP as well, man.
Both supports going for the Moby Boots, making their way into lane. Wadid waiting. Pride is on the top side. It is an option for the team. Not going to take the option quite yet, however. And the good news right now for Schalke is that despite the fact that Tristana not going to be quite as strong on one item, significantly weaker in fact, Hjärnan isn't there yet. Only the pieces left for Gwynsu's. They don't have to worry about that, so at least they can sit somewhat comfortably in this lane, despite the fact that their lane swap was spotted out.
But because no one is like super dominating in the laning phase here, we don't get that big early advantage for either of the teams. It is just very even. You can't really start the Rift Held because you're not, again, pushing the enemy team constantly to the turrets around it. You need Pride then to show up first. And Jankos is trying to like match where Pride is, or at least gank if he sees something from the Kha'Zix. But he knows that he's not able to deal the same damage. And yeah, top lane fight. Sick damage.
Ooh, look at them hit each other. Cat pajamas versus Void Monster. Or tree and cat pajamas, rather.
All right, the control ward is now in this brush, which means Pride can go from top side and try and kill PerkZ again if PerkZ stays in lane. Or you can just control on this side here. And now the PerkZ gone back to base. Schalke could try play on the Varus, but it would require them, sadly, to tower dive him, and that is too risky for them.
And pressure mid and top, but a ward from G2 stops them from trying to take Rift Herald. Pride now gets to invade into the jungle. Pretty much perma-stealth here as he rotates through the bushes. Can try to take the red buff, but G2 know this is happening. Well, it looks like they're not going to contest it in the end. Going to back off, but Rageblade has come in, Deficio. We talked about item spikes being important. How big is this for Hjärnan?
I mean, it's super big if they actually do play to his side and utilize it. Otherwise, it doesn't really mean anything for him, because at the moment, he shouldn't be allowed to sit and auto-attack a lot with a Kha'Zix and an Alistar just jumping him. PerkZ knows. Got the package, but it's now used defensively. And if you're G2, topside is where you want to play. Play around Hjärnan, he's strong. This Tristana, item-wise, not very strong at the moment.
Just bits and pieces, Deficio, looking for the 2-item spike before it's even remotely a threat. We've seen Upset be good when he makes it to the late game, but often makes a lot of mistakes in the early to mid to sacrifice. And we did Hjärnan. Really good spot to initiate for the team. G2 feeling confident as a whole as they push into the jungle, lay down a bit of vision here.
It's a tense game. It's two teams who've tried to go late game before, And it's not always been successful for them, mainly due to some individual mistakes. You highlighted Upset before here. We've seen the same thing on the side of G2, over-chasing for some kills or fall too far behind because, yeah, they lost an early Baron. Things like these can happen in this game here. G2 need to keep up with Splice. Tie for that second place. Fnatic, they're gone. They're first place. Just that's fine. You need that second buy, so you're actually not on the same side of Fnatic in the bracket as well. So you have that road towards the final where you don't need to face Fnatic. That's another big thing for Vitality.
Yeah,
Splice
falling
or
to fourth is terrifying. Could set you up to play them depending on how the rest of the bracket plays out. Of course, reseeding into semifinals, really terrifying prospect for a lot of these teams, but it's just as important for Schalke. Deficio on the opposite side, they need to work their way up. Once again, that mess of a tie is right above them. They find one win, suddenly they're in a good spot. But G2 taking control of the game as they manage to find the Rift Herald.
Well, it's what we talk about, right? Play around Varus with the Rage Blade. It's like he completes it, they go for it. TP coming in, we might get a first fight here.
Vizicsacsi could look to try to find the fight. Pride is into the middle of the pit. Vander does find the engagement, but he takes so much damage in return. Tanks are trying to make their way into the back line. Hjärnan does a lot of damage, but he is going to get taken down. Wunder manages to grab one back in return. Vizicsacsi wants to keep the fight going. He is unconcerned. Interrupt onto Upset. Not going to find a way forward. Just going to be the 1-for-1 in the end.
Meanwhile, Pride tried to kill Jankos there. Stopped the Rift Herald. Almost went down in favor of G2, but still alive. Jankos was forced out. Yeah, 1-for-1. Let's see, double TP used as well. Everyone just matching each other in this game.
And Deficio, both of these teams are so good at snowballing when they have a lead. Yes, the mid-game and late-game shot calling falls apart a little bit. I'll give you that. But when they find leads, when they find advantages like this Rift Herald, they look so good.
No one gets it, though. As the fight breaks out, Jankos is forced to run away. Chachi shows up, gets the kill, of course, onto Varus, but it is traded back against Vander. So no big advantage gained just off the fight itself, but G2 right back towards the Rift Herald. And this time, Schalke not in position to fight it. Chachi is bot lane. No one can actually contest it. And G2, important objective if they can get first turret off this one.
Maybe get a Cloud Drake. Is still solid. Pride leaps into the pit, looks to take it solo. Easy for the Kha'Zix to do at this point in the game, but definitely not the equivalent trade. A lot will depend on what G2 can do with the Rift Herald, however, Deficio. Can they actually start to break down some towers, open up the macro game a little bit more?
Should be able to get at least one turret with it. Pride gets that Cloud Drake for himself. Top lane is where G2 are currently looking. Continue playing around the Varus with the one item spike. Well, both mid laners. Zoe LeBlanc last time. Insane action from the early game. Corki is here this time. Insane farming.
Oh, Deficio is going to be a tough hold on the top side. Varus is going to get the free stack up on the Rage Blade. Going to get a walk right up to that tower. Threaten Upset and Vander.
Oh, Chachi is running all the way from bot lane to top.
They're going to get the tower. But is the fight going to go against them? Vander, Moby Boot's not going to proc quite yet. Pride is there. Too little too late, though. Tower drops.
Man, that's such a bad call from Schalke.
Because now look at bottom side.
Yeah.
Wunder's just looking to grab a tower for himself.
The call is, let's go top lane. There's no TP from Wunder. We can maybe stop the Rift Herald push. But by the time he's even at the mid lane with the Maokai, the Rift Herald is already charged and killed the turret. So now Chachi just lost the entire wave bot lane. And then he goes back and Wunder's like, oh, hey.
But you know what, Deficio? He made it back in time to save the turret. You know why? Cloud Drake.
Yes, that's it. So he saved the turret that was never really supposed to die, and they still lost top lane turret.
So it's a little grim, is what you're telling me.
It's a small thing. Like, it's not gonna be a big deal in terms of the game. He loses 1 or 2 waves on bot side. That's fine. He's Maokai. He's still pretty useful. Sorry, almost said useless.
Deficio, you can't just hate on this champ every time it gets picked, man. It still has good engage. Now, the good news, Deficio, for Schalke is that yes, they're losing a bit in map pressure because that tower is gone, but the gold is still about dead even. Slight farm advantage in the mid lane for NukeDuck.
His package.
Good poke comes in. One item, still a nice spot for NukeDuck to be in, but Trinity Force for PerkZ also really strong.
And we're setting up for that late game fight where, let's talk about that after Wunder.
Challenging Smite goes down. They're going to slowly try to burn through him, but Pride has to be very careful. If you go in, if you get hit by that combo on the Cho'Gath, you die immediately. Jankos is here as well. Vizicsacsi now going to try to disengage. Pride is running. He is leaving his top laner to die. PerkZ coming in as well. Nothing left for that team. Wunder takes down Vizicsacsi.
We talked about the potential of Pride ganking the Cho'Gath, but that was about 15 minutes ago. Now this Cho'Gath is very big, very tanky, and PerkZ had packaged in the mid lane to just fly down as well and help his team. Play completely backfired for Schalke. Very tiny reward they could have gotten basically just a flash from Wunder, that's it. They're gonna lose this bot lane turret as well. Upset will trade top lane. That's another kill then for G2 eSports, and they're getting ahead in gold.
And the good news for Schalke is they have control of the top side. Baron is spawning shortly, but this is a bit grim. 2-0 for the Cho'Gath. We talked about Wunder. Potential to be incredibly disruptive in these late game fights. How this pick could suit him, as it does have some of that high damage, high playmaking potential in the late game.
Love me some Cho'Gath. Almost 100% win rate on patch 8.4 coming into today. I have to double check after today what the current win rate is for Cho'Gath on this patch. But yes, we get to see this setup where it's NukeDuck upset, trying to carry against Hjärnan and PerkZ on the 280 carries, but also against Wunder's Cho'Gath. And I think that's one of the crucial things that could swing it in G2's favor, is if he executes properly, knows exactly when to land silence, they make a quick call to kill a tank, he feasts, and they burst it down with double-A to carry. It's so important in these late game fights to just kill the front line first. And that's what they can do.
Deficio, it's hard enough for Pride as we get later in the game to make an impact on this Kha'Zix. You talked about it yourself, but against a Cho'Gath, you leap in, you get silenced, you die. Yep. That is the play pattern.
And I don't feel like Pride has gotten far enough ahead in this early game. Like, yeah, sure, he's...
I mean, this man is the king of farming. Don't get me wrong, he's part of the reason that the gold is still so close for Schalke, but this is a champion that's supposed to kill people, Deficio.
Yeah, and there were a lot of openings early game where he could have jumped in and been a lot more aggressive. Slow game, a lot of farming. Get a pause as well.
Check on the CS scores. Schalke doing pretty well across the board, except for top lane where they're falling behind. 2 items on the way for upset. Interesting, he stopped with the Kerchi Shard before finishing the IE. Just wants more attack speed. Varus on 2 items is a terrifying prospect. Corki well on the way to the Infinity Edge.
I think G2, within the next few minutes, when they see the items on Tristana, if they want to play aggressive, can actually go towards Baron.
Absolutely.
And worst case, you turn against a very, very weak Tristana at the moment, and you just take the 5-on-5 team fight where you have 2 fully completed items on Hjärnan. PerkZ is building towards I-Edge, but he's not there yet, so they're missing at least his 2-item power spike, but they have a pretty fast Baron with this comp. Double-A to carry, one of them is Varus with the Rage Blade, and of course Cho'Gath.
Yeah, the Blight stacks, the additional magic damage, the double proc, Corki with the MR and armor shred. I mean, Cho'Gath to secure it, you're right, Deficio. This is... It's not triple Mountain Drake from Fnatic last game,
no,
but
so there's risk involved, but if they want to try and actually force a fight with the AD carry advantage, that's one way they can do it. There's no Drake to take at the moment. It's not like they're able to just chain siege down a turret, because there is a lot of ways for Schalke to then like TP in behind them and start a fight, but this game is kind of gone the way G2 wanted it to go, because they have not fallen behind against the Kha'Zix.
And the question we asked at the start of this game was, what style are G2 going to play? This time they've opted for a bit more late game. A bit more late game options across their team. Now, can they execute when it comes to making the big decisions like taking Baron? That's my next question, because we've seen both Schalke, G2, even teams like Misfits really not be proactive enough, I guess, when you look at it, right? Not be the team that can just make that super decisive call onto Baron, get that, close out the game when it counts, when they have a lead or an advantage. Yeah,
quite a few teams prefer to play it super safe. And it's a best of 1 on stage. If you make a big mistake, you might lose the game for your entire team. So I can't really blame them for it. Sometimes, though, it is good to see a team saying, you know what? There's a good chance here. Let's take it. Let's go for it. Let's see if we can execute it properly. But then, when it fails, we flame them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Rightfully like, so, Deficio.
If you don't do it, we're like, oh, please do it. And if you do it and you mess it up because it is a bit risky,
like, why would you do that?
You're so dumb. What is that? You know, so...
Hindsight, the ultimate tool of the analyst.
It is the best thing about casting. The classic hindsight.
And Deficio, I feel like we talk about the playoff pressure, right? This is big for Schalke, getting into playoffs. But for G2, I feel like it's even more because we talk about locking second place. We have to remember that a bye to the semifinal is not only seeing what your opponent is before you play, it's not only a guaranteed spot, but it's the equivalent of winning an entire best-of-5 in quarters, right? You can save yourself an entire best-of-5 if you just win a best-of-1 here against Schalke, and if you keep winning as we move forward. We are now back in the game. Baron was the play you talked about before as we got into the pause, Deficio.
Just as a potential if they want to try and force a fight around it or just burn it down if Schalke is not ready to react. But around mid lane, we have Chachi roaming. PerkZ knows, steps away. There's too many wards in this game. They see everything. We should remove Sightstone as well.
Yeah.
We actually did already remove it. We should remove support items.
No one should be able to buy wards. lower vision range, play like you're in Nocturne ult the entire game.
Might actually just make the game even more passive because then no one wants to do anything.
Oh, man. Tracker's Knife would have made the difference.
Maybe if you only had one lane in the game.
Ooh. Ooh, wait, what if people couldn't pick their champions, Deficio?
And they couldn't go back to base either, unless they died.
I like that.
That could be an interesting game mode.
You know what I think would be broken there? Soraka. Oh, it's a pause. Hey guys, we'll keep you updated. I know you're not excited to see the double pause, but it's important that players can be able to play. NukeDuck's on your screen, so we're going to assume that he is the cause of the pause. Once again, we want to make sure that he's comfortable because he's playing Azir, man. He's important. He doesn't get to point and click. He has to manage soldiers. He has to carry late game fights.
And another positive about the pause is we get to show the players on the full screen. Normally it is hidden down the corner. We actually notice the champions more, but now we get to look at NukeDuck and Pride.
And NukeDuck has reported FPS drops. Not something anybody wants to play with, so we will work on resolving the issue, or league officials will, rather. Not related to the previous pause, I have been informed.
Oh.
So multiple issues for NukeDuck. This is tough, man. Not only is it a hard game, the FPS is working against him. All odds stacked against him.
He's almost on 2 items, though. He's getting close.
This is like the Rocky Balboa of games. You know what I mean? He's rising up. We're going to play Gonna Fly now. He's going to come back. He's going to stand up at the interview. He's going to look into the eyes of pyro or medics who's ever doing it, and he's going to say, "You're the duck." Drop the mic, walk away. Crowd goes wild. Or he's going to lose horribly. We'll find out. We're back in game. G2 pushing in on the top side.
We already had one mic drop this week.
It's true.
Fun fact, apparently there was a pillow underneath.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to break a mic so medic can make a statement. That feels fiscally irresponsible.
But like, could have been slightly more badass if it actually hit the ground and there was a pillow down there.
I don't think the part of the mic drop that anyone remembers is the sound of the mic hitting the ground.
Call the Baron. Call the Baron. They're doing it. They're starting it. They're going to force around it. Enemy AD carry is weak. They have 2 items. They have a Cho'Gath. Turn and fight.
Maybe looking for the fight. Vander trying to find the engage on the side. Is going to knock up the Cho'Gath. Pride is in the middle of everything, but he gets knocked up immediately. Vizicsacsi has thrown out the cats. Upset is uncontested as he hits. NukeDuck hits on the side. This is exactly what they want. They have taken down 1 kill. The man advantage is in favor of G2, but what else can they get? Wunder could be in trouble. Can they find the reset on the kill? Upset grabs one back. No one has an advantage. Support traded for top lane. Maybe a slight edge to Schalke.
Oh, we have to see the replay there, how G2 started the fight, because PerkZ actually jumped towards NukeDuck and forced him out, and then the fight happened behind him. G2 did turn around and get that 1 kill, though. I respect the call, because I think with the advantage they had on Hjärnan, and the fact they could have feasted it down if Schalke were not ready to react, I respect it. Sadly for them, if this control ward had been there actually before they moved in, Schalke wouldn't have had this kind of vision, and maybe they could have burned it down in time, but obviously because they place it, Schalke knows it's starting. They see the fight, so they're actually all 5 together, all hitting with it, but NukeDuck from the side deals a ton of damage, and he alone forces 4 members of G2 to step away from Wunder. So the fact that NukeDuck was forced out of the fight early gave him an entrance to flank.
All right, but here's my concern, Deficio. Why does the Kha'Zix only do 500 damage? That does not look like a good sign for Schalke as the game goes on.
I mean, he never got a chance to jump in. NukeDuck already told him he got it from the side.
But what happens when they don't find the flank, Deficio?
Well, then they might struggle, but then your Tristana might have 3 items, and he can become the carry. They're now starting it, both teams, man.
Right, ready to go. Package going to be used. Perk sleeps into everything, gets slowed down as he is isolated. Void Spikes doing a bit of work, but interesting. Schalke so aggressive to start at the Baron. They don't have a Warmogs on their side, but Vizicsacsi wants to keep a fight going. The chain CC goes in. Pride still hesitating to go over the wall. Jankos almost getting picked off. Upset, though, is not quite as scared. Maybe going to look for the kill on Jankos as they fall backwards. Vizicsacsi is hungry for blood. He is tired of the passive games. He looks to make a play. Cannot find a kill, however.
Oh, that was so aggressive from Schalke here, just looking to force plays all the time, but G2, they're okay with this so far. Fight in terms of HP went in their favor, and now they get to at least push in mid and go and clear some wards around Baron.
PerkZ is TPing in. They can just look to take the Baron. Pride trying to stay stealthed up. He may have the option to steal, but there's no TP from Vizicsacsi.
He's running back with home guards. He's on his way. 4 members still around from Schalke. PerkZ taking some damage. Oh, Pride
he wants to get PerkZ. So much damage comes in from the Kha'Zix. Right back with the flash out. Flash trade for nothing, though. PerkZ low on health. They need to get something from this.
Pride had to make a decision real quick. Do I flash to try and kill PerkZ, or do I flash out to safety? He went out to safety, joined his team in the mid lane. PerkZ back in base for now. Mid lane turret goes down, so Schalke in the end
With a gold lead, Deficio.
It all started with start Baron, force fight, and then look for another fight right after. And while they didn't kill anyone, they forced the mid laner back to base. And now they can at least get a few control wards around Baron as well. There's a ton of them in here.
Clear out the vision. Pride waiting in the jungle. Not going to connect on PerkZ.
But this is why we waited 20 minutes. Because we knew both teams wants to get 2 items. They want to fight. They want to play team fights. It comes down to execution now. PerkZ might get caught again. No, Pride this time does not jump him.
I mean, you look at the way Pride is playing, Deficio. I feel like he's getting more and more confident as this game goes on.
That was pretty sick. He snuck in between all 5 players right there.
It's always crazy to watch.
Sadly for him, he didn't get the flash from PerkZ, and he had to flash out. So I guess PerkZ technically won
one
the
out
trade.
of the trade. Well, the thing is Schalke off of that, right, get the mid lane tower, so that's the advantage they get. But now they have to spend the next 3.5 minutes with Pride not actually being able to have kill pressure.
But importantly, Schalke did not fall further behind when they had Static Shift, BF Sword on Tristana against 2 fully completed items on Varus. They actually managed to stall it by going 1 for 1 in the first fight around Baron and then making these plays we just saw here right after. So now Upset has been farming well. He finally got a kill in the game. 3 items ready, and suddenly his scaling starts to kick in.
3 item points so terrifying. Doesn't even the armor pen. Can just threaten PerkZ and Hjärnan in these fights. Probably going to clear out the last little bit of vision that G2 have. Wadid, though, on the way. Not going to let it go down uncontested. Drops a ward of the red wall to make sure he's safe before he pushes in, but respecting the potential for a stealth Kha'Zix as he backs off there.
Kha'Zix now that, again, there's so few defensive wards, are so good at sneaking around here.
Gonna try to make his way out. They spot him briefly. He's gonna get out.
Because normally, before this, you would have a lot of wards placed like outside the brushes as well. So you saw him enter the brush in the first place. You can ping, okay, he's in our jungle, watch out. But now it's fairly easy for him to find big holes on the map, so he can actually walk outside the brush, is not spotted, then into the brush, and of course then it kicks in with the invis, and he just kind of sneaks around, and you have no idea if he's in your jungle or not, if he's sitting in a side lane, brush in a lane, and he will jump you, and it becomes super difficult to play against.
And we've seen this exact situation for Rawcat, actually. Memento, the one sneaking through the jungle, finding the pick that would win them the game. Can Pride do the same? Now trying to sneak his way into mid lane.
You know, it's always about mid lane push when both teams want to play for Baron. If you push mid, you get entrance to the river, you get to kill the wards. Jankos lost his ulti.
Tried to ult NukeDuck in the side lane. Missed it on camera, but important to note that the cooldown is gone.
Chachi's gonna get a free bot lane turret for himself, because Wunder pushed out and then walked up here to get mid lane control and then kill all the control wards. So Schalke gets a small advantage again from this.
And we're at the point where everyone is playing chess, Deficio. It's not about the kills anymore. It's about the vision. It's about the pressure. G2 may have given up the bottom tower, but now they have control of pit. Now they have the vision laid down. You can see Schalke very aware of that.
And this is the most classic Schalke game from this split. Super even against the top teams. Never feels like they are weaker or anything. But then when we come to that late game point, they've been farming towards. Mistakes can happen. If the mistakes do not happen, they can win late game fights. They can win this game.
I want to go back to something you said in draft. You talked about Schalke having the easier to execute carries when it came to late game fighting. Do they actually have the edge here up against G2, you think, if the game goes late enough?
I think there's so much scaling on both sides that it just comes down to execution. Vander might have to sacrifice himself every fight when he jumps in, because Cho'Gath can feast and kill him through the ult.
PerkZ looking for the single point.
Way too aggressive.
Right there, goodbye! The sole remaining member of the OG G2 lineup may have just given up everything, because Vizicsacsi is there. Upset is ready for the reset. He's going to free hit onto the remaining members. They're going to find the engage. Schalke, immediate turnaround, the double. Bring it home! One more for NukeDuck, the Baron in the sights of Schalke. We wanted action. They delivered.
But what just happened? The captain on G2 eSports, desperate to make a play, dives headfirst into Schalke and just dies instantly. Okay, you got the package, cool, you can try and do something. He sees NukeDuck, but the rest of Schalke are right next to him. After the package, he jumps into his face. That was like the dumbest play I've seen all split.
Guys, I wish I could say it's a joke, but PerkZ may have cost his team a game there. May have cost second place. That has to hurt for the player.
Okay, clearly, he either thought that the rest of Schalke were not nearby, even though he just saw them walk towards him, or he thought his entire team would follow him when he jumped onto NukeDuck.
This is the nightmare point. We talked about Varus, we talked about Corki. Guess what they do a lot of? Magic damage. Guess what the minion does not care about? PerkZ can barely touch this one. Cho'Gath there with some true damage. Maybe can hope to take it away with the Feast. A smite from Jankos as well. Schalke not going to try to protect it. They know the minion dematerializes there. That is the only thing stopping that minion from sieging.
And that is not the kind of mistake we see from PerkZ very often. It must have been a good reason for it that we just didn't know. Maybe the communication was just off for the moment here, or for that play. And G2, they lose Baron, they lose the fight. Schalke didn't even have to set up a Baron play on their own. They just legit just killed the carry who jumped in their face.
Sometimes when enemy teams throw, all you have to do is catch, Deficio.
That is very true, and this is so huge for the Schalke team. They almost gave up on making playoffs, but if this is a 2-0 week we're looking at if they can close out this game.
Once again, they make it into the midst of the teams. All the teams tied for 5th place right now if they find the win. They're well on the way. Pride.
Still, G2 can still come back. This is not the end of the world just yet for them. They still have good late game on their side, especially if Hjärnan can actually auto-attack with this on-hit Varus build. They gotta get through Vander's ulti. When that is gone, they can kill the support easily. If they get enough time, they can kill the Maokai as well. And because, again, this battle of killing tanks, they have the Feast from Cho'Gath. That's big for them. But they need Schalke to run at them, so the 2 carries get enough time to just land enough autos. Not, of course, dive head first into the enemy team with your carry.
Just so many big risks. Or that single big risk, rather, taken from PerkZ. Have to wonder if it had gone the way he planned, if it would have been the edge for G2.
Again, there must have been a reason for it.
I mean, you got to give them credit, but you talk about communication breakdown. Looks like Schalke may have had one as they start to split up. Deficio, the fight is going down. Vizicsacsi now trying to run for his life. If he gets picked off here, this will be a big change in the favor of G2. The immediate Feast down. G2 not going to give up any more on this Baron. They buy themselves about 30, maybe 50 seconds as Vizicsacsi drops.
And that's why we just said this game is definitely not over. We're going to get more of these kind of fights. PerkZ can redeem himself and still become the big carry for his team. Schalke, they were completely split up. Chachi caught out alone. That is 1 kill for G2. And gold-wise, yeah, you're 4K down, but we're starting to get further and further into the game, so it won't mean that much. In terms of carry gold on carry items, they are fairly even still.
Of course, Upset looks like he will be going for the Mercurial Scimitar, a little bit extra safety on top of the 3 items. Nothing to shred the tanks, but does have a decent amount of magic damage with the Energizer build. Double Warmogs on the side of G2. The next Baron that spawns, they're going to be able to pressure just about indefinitely.
And I went back to look at that play from PerkZ with the G2 vision on. By the time he clicked that Valk to jump towards NukeDuck, he only saw Vander and NukeDuck right around him. Pride was stealth, so he didn't see him, and he knew Upset was a little bit further away. That's why PerkZ felt like there was a chance here to jump NukeDuck in a potential 4v2, 5v2 situation. The team could maybe follow him, and he could then have killed the Azir, taken Baron. So he didn't just see the enemy team around him and said, yeah, I don't care, I'm gonna die here. No, he actually, due to the stealth from the Kha'Zix, and because Upset was a little bit further away from the fight, he thought there was a chance to kill the Azir. Sadly for him, Kha'Zix showed up, and NukeDuck and the rest of G2 were kind of like, what happened there? And NukeDuck just killed him.
And Deficio, we talk so much about X Factor this season, right? Whether it's innovation in the draft, unique strategies, or individual playmaking. Well, G2 definitely not short of it. They have Jankos, they have PerkZ, these guys known for making big plays, but this is what happens when it goes wrong. Sometimes that big play is, you are playing on the edge, you are taking a big risk.
And you feel like you need to be the carry here. You feel like you can be the one who gets that big advantage for your team. PerkZ has done it multiple times this split. He did it last time he played against Schalke on the Zoe. And then he goes for a play like that one, and it backfires big time.
Hjärnan going to have to burn the ult to disengage, as Vizicsacsi may have found the pick onto Jankos. Both teams quite vocal on stage. Clearly aware of the tenseness of this game. Vizicsacsi has the ultimate available. Pretty easy for PerkZ to make his way out, though. Dashes on just about everybody. Wadid with the freedom to dash to an ally means it really needs to be the flank if he wants to find it. But Schalke pushing forward with confidence. Set up the tower. Using the Sun Disc. Ooh, and Pride in the middle of the jungle. We'll see that Jankos is isolated. It's just going to immediately leap on and leap out.
You're not here to assassinate the Sejuani. Sadly for Pride, he was hoping that a squishy guy would walk from bot lane or from mid to top lane. Did not happen though. He's got the Black Cleaver for himself. A lot of damage, and rest of G2 grouped together. Looking for revenge after losing that Baron.
Shopping. Oh, gets stunned but makes it over the wall. That's going to be crucial. Sundisk goes down. Meanwhile, Vizicsacsi pushes in on the bottom side. Baron in 1 minute and 14 seconds. That will be the arena. That will be what the teams play for.
Ton of damage on the side of Hjärnan if he gets time. 3 items only on PerkZ. He's not been able to get ahead in this game. He's behind in farm against this Azir, who's already completed 4.5 on the side of NukeDuck. So it is a tough game for PerkZ to try and carry, and it's going to shift more over to Hjärnan. This could be a big game for him to step up and secure a win for G2 against Schalke here. Tie with Splice for that 2nd place.
And Deficio, it's tough because both teams are going to be so reliant on execution. Hjärnan needs that Rage Blade stacked when they fight. If he doesn't have the time to stack it up, if he's forced out of the fight too soon, his DPS drops monumentally. I mean, all those on-hit effects so reliant on that passive to really synergize combined with the Blight. Opposite side, Upset much easier for him in these fights. He has safety, he has a leap, he has a disengage. Tristana is an independent fighter in the late game.
Definitely true. So far, NukeDuck and Upset played well. Not made any mistakes in the late game. And that is key. Pride is once again sneaking in that jungle. He's looking for PerkZ, or maybe Hjärnan if Hjärnan walks in near him. Sneaky.
Leaps in, wants to get onto Hjärnan. They're going to go through as the team. Hjärnan has split himself off from the rest of the lineup. The rest of G2 now leaping in to save. PerkZ wants to break it off. Vander still so tanky, courtesy of the ultimate. NukeDuck not going to get knocked up on the backside, but it's 1 pick off for G2. A lot of low health bars. Is this the moment? NukeDuck fires back. Vizicsacsi's on the way in. Void Spikes don't connect. It is just going to be a 1-for-1 once again. Both supports taken off the board.
But Hjärnan back in base. Baron is alive. They killed Wadid already. They're actually baiting around it, trying to see if they can kill Wunder.
Gonna be a slow burn down. Leandri's getting the max health. Could be enough. Giant Slayer passive. Pride poking down onto PerkZ. Schalke just letting G2 know that they control the jungle, but Jankos and Wunder unafraid. They have the Warmogs. They want to keep this territory their own.
Another 1-for-1. Close fights. I like Pride there. Whenever the team is sitting mid, he knows that on the Kha'Zix, you can't just team fight the traditional way. You always got to find these different flanks. And he's always looking for either Hjärnan or PerkZ. Managed to start the fight then, the rest of the team followed up, but then sadly ended up still losing a member. PerkZ.
And let's look at the cost of Deficio. Flash from PerkZ, flash heal from Hjärnan.
Pride again.
Is here. Not going to follow up, doesn't want to take the risk. He's going to leap on a PerkZ. Jankos is there, we need to go back. Pride now running for his life. If Jungler goes down, it could be big. Oh, manages to make it out.
Yeah, he did not expect Jankos to be in that brush. So little vision on the map here in the late game. A lot of gambles being taken for Pride when he goes all in, especially with someone who's hiding in their own jungle. There's always a chance there's backup right next to them, and suddenly the Kha'Zix will not be able to assassinate anyone when it's a 1v2 situation. PerkZ got his 4th item now, still alive, level 18 as well on the Corki. And
oh, Deficio. 10th spot to be. You can see how much damage Pride can do if he's left alone. G2 need to stay grouped, need to stay together.
And these tense games, if it's the start of the split, it's like, it's important to win it, but there's not that much at stake just yet. But when you're played in week 8 or day 2, just a few games left per team in this split, suddenly it just means everything for you.
And look, if you're G2 and you lose, you're not hoping, you're praying that Splice find a loss. Vander, though, in trouble. He's going to use the ultimate. Cho'Gath just going to nom him up. That is the pick G2 wanted. Vizicsacsi trying to bring it back, though. Can they take out Wadid in the exchange? It's just the support for the support trade. Vizicsacsi still alive. Gargoyle's doing play, keeping him healthy. True damage not going to come in. Pride from the side. He wants to find the flank. Once he leaps into PerkZ, but they just cut right through him. Not enough, because Upset finds the kill. He wants to leap and he wants to keep the play going. Wunder, is he going to die? If he does, they're going to get the reset. No, healing up enough from the regen. Jankos flashes out, but a masterful fight from Schalke.
2-for-1 here. We talked earlier about how Vander probably just needs to sacrifice himself in every single fight because Cho'Gath can use Feast on him, but that's a big cooldown gone then. Pride was sitting next to Vander and just shooting. No one touched him. Dealt a ton of damage onto G2, and 2nd Baron now for Schalke. Elder Drake spawn, and G2 is starting it instantly. Upset is the only one here trying to get the Rift Scuttler.
It's going to be big. We'll give the passive vision down. Denies Jankos their counterplay. They burned the TP for it. Upset just going to pick it up.
G2 got to back away.
Oh, G2, this is brutal.
A lot of things have gone wrong for them here in the late game, and this is another one. Lost fight in mid lane that they initiated to then lose Baron, 2 members, and Elder Drake. Everything is in Schalke's favor. This playoff run that they can pull off, it could be insane after losing so many games in a row. If they can actually bounce back, beat teams like G2 eSports, and start going on a bit of a win streak. This is the fight from before. Upset is left on his own to just shoot, shoot, shoot. And of course, if an AD carry is left to just sit and hammer away, he's eventually gonna kill people.
Oh, the damage onto PerkZ. Tristana is terrifying, man. An upset, good movement. Only really needed to dodge the Braum ult. And Deficio. This is just an immense performance coming from Schalke. The fact that they had the confidence to turn that fight around despite Vander getting caught out. They knew they had to force a fight at that moment. Tower getting sieged down, Elder Dragon as well. This would be a monumental hold for G2. Can they do it? Can they keep the second place dream alive? Schalke, will they earn their spot in playoffs?
And so far, this is the most important game both teams have played all split. One team trying to hold on to bye weeks, another team trying to make it into playoff after basically thinking they were done, they were out. Not the case. Winning here, they tie for 5th place with 4 other teams in the EU LCS. And then next week, they can decide on their own if they want to make playoffs or not.
Slow, steady siege. G2 see they have no options. They give up the first inhibitor of the game. Schalke now moving into the mid lane, ready to go. Ping's coming down on the wave. G2 looking for a way to cut it before the Baron buff gets there. They're not going to find the chance.
Full items on most of the carries. Void Staff coming in for PerkZ next, but it's not here for the next team fight. And Schalke getting more objectives.
Second inhibitor Deficio. Tension just continues to build. Looking for that opening, looking for that opportunity to close out. Schalke know the ball is in their court. G2 hoping, praying that Schalke will throw it back to them, give them a chance for some counterplay, give them a fight that they can win, but Schalke have not shown the opportunity.
There's enough wave clear on the side of G2 to just stall against the super minions. They get at least one more big fight. It's been rough for them because they spend most of the time killing Vander. And then when he dies, the 2 carries on Schalke have already killed 1 important member on the side of G2.
And I feel like when you're Wunder, you see Alistar, you see the damage reduction, you go, true damage is great here. But then you don't have it. You don't have any threat onto upset. He's not scared of you. NukeDuck is not scared of you anymore. You stop being a threat onto that backline, and suddenly Vizicsacsi just looks like the better tank in a lot of these fights because he's the one who keeps forcing the engages. He's the one who keeps making these fights turn in the favor of Schalke, even when they start on a bad foot.
But we also talked again about how it's easier for Schalke to execute with their carries, because this Varus, it's so hard to move around these fights properly, knowing that anything that jumps him forces him to stop auto-attacking.
Last time we saw these two play, it was Hjärnan on the Varus as well. Him and Upset both had very poor performances across the game. It was the mid laners who brought it back. So the question is this Hjärnan's chance for redemption, or can PerkZ once again find a clutch play to bring G2 back in their favor? He has the Void Staff now. He is full items. He is not going to do more damage than this.
Sieging on top side, waiting for super minions, bot and mid lane. Not here yet for Schalke, so all of G2 can defend the 1 lane.
Ooh, Deficio, just...
I love it, man.
It's so tense. I just have to...
This is the kind of game you want, where there's so much at stake. None of these teams are locked for anything, and that's a good thing when we get this late in the season. Sometimes we have these splits.
Yeah, we're locked like week 6.
Exactly, and then they don't play for a whole lot.
Oh,
Cats come into zone.
This very well could be the final fight. Upset just going to hit onto the tower. They focus. They look for the disengage. Vizicsacsi has been locked up. People will cut through a lot of damage. Engage comes in from Vander. Upset has been locked up, but he leaps right back out. NukeDuck throws up the wall. He says, "You're not getting to my AD carry that easy." Now pulling back. Vander is in trouble. He will get stunned. Will fall away, but they're going to break the tower anyway. It is the 2-for-0. G2 get the fight, but Schalke get the tower.
Oh, PerkZ trying to stop them from getting in here while the rest of the team are killing super minions. It's a 3v5 at the moment.
Have to be careful. PerkZ is going forward. Wants a bit more. Static ship proc, very big for the team, but they can't find the engage opportunity. Wunder with a TP almost up and available.
Elder Drake not alive. Baron not alive. So while G2 got 2 kills, nothing on the map they can actually kill. So they will end up just having to stall a little bit longer. Getting to the point where selling them boots might be a thing for the carries. Get even more damage. We've already seen it on Upset. He knows that no one is actually hitting him, so he doesn't need boots.
Got the Phantom Dancer. He wants to be faster, Deficio.
See the fight from before here. Chachi and Schalke, they know that they need to get the turret first of all, and that actually buys a bit of time for G2 to get enough damage down on Vizicsacsi specifically. And this time, it's not the Alistar they focus, it is the Maokai. He dies. And of course, because Schalke are split between hitting turret and then hitting champions, they can't win the fight, and G2, they managed to secure a small win for themselves. Baron up in about a minute's time.
And you can see Hjärnan's still a threat when it comes to dishing out damage, to being a threat in the late game despite not going for the crit build. 5k damage in the fight. If he is allowed to free hit, he shreds through the tank line of Schalke. Interesting, has opted for the reduced healing, wants to shut down the Maokai in these fights, wants to shut down Upset. Lord Dominic's on the opposite side. Upset knows his job. If he gets a free hit the tank line, he needs them to die, and he needs them to die quickly.
And for Schalke next week, we already talked about the Fnatic game. The other opponent is H2K. They're down the bottom of the standings. Definitely a team Schalke can beat.
And those are the games that matter the most, Deficio, because not only are you putting yourself one up, you're putting the competition one down. It's basically 2 wins when it comes to contesting the playoffs.
What happens here, Vander? That's an early ult, so now Vander for next fight. He's not gonna have it if anything happens instantly, but again, the reason I highlight the H2K game and the Fnatic game is because if Schalke get this win here against G2, even if they lose to Fnatic, which is very realistic, as long as they didn't beat H2K, they will sit on 8 wins, which should be enough to at least give them a tiebreaker for that playoff spot. So suddenly this schedule where you had G2 and Fnatic in the remaining 4 games doesn't look that bad, because right now you are ahead against G2. You've been doing a lot of good things, but they still got to be able to close the game, and that's been the problem for Schalke all split long.
Right off to the side. Not going to find the Rupture. One Rupture connects on Upset. It could be the game right there. PerkZ still trying to poke down. Not quite as effective as it once was early in the game. And Pride continues to try to find these flanks. Looks to take down PerkZ. PerkZ not nearly as scared as he was before. He gets the range to auto-attack freely. He will kill Pride quite quickly. G2 pulling back, though. You can see Schalke know that they're the stronger team as they force them back. They get the mid lane pressure, they set up the Sun Disc, and now they're going to look to control the jungle. This is where Pride is in his element. He stealths up, he finds another flank. Could very well be the win. They're going to immediately try to burn through it. Blue Trinket has spotted them out. They have the Azir, they have the Tristana. Vander may be the sacrificial lamb. The ult is up in time. Jankos, where's he going to go? They're backing off. Schalke instead are going to look for the fight. They may just lose Vander here. Could that be the throw? Upset is not hitting. NukeDuck, the team is split. Decision-making was not together on that one. G2 find a small advantage.
Yeah, I don't think Vander had time to actually move with the team because they all jumped over the wall. No flash on his side, so he couldn't get away, and G2, that's now suddenly 5 members alive on their side against only 4 on Schalke. Now all the inhibs have respawned. There's a big wave bot lane that will kill an inhib if all of G2 stay around the Baron.
And Schalke know it. They're sticking around with 4 members. They know G2 can't afford to commit all 5. They're not scared.
PerkZ is actually recalling instead of just walking over and killing the wave and then going back to base after. Starting the Baron to try and force G2 to stay around while the minions will do all the work. PerkZ now realizes and kills the minions.
Jankos with no ultimate yet, so we can't threaten NukeDuck there. Upset still continuing to hit, slowly chipping away at the Baron. Second Elder is up and alive.
And package is here. PerkZ on his way with the package here. If a fight breaks out.
NukeDuck poking. It's going to get hit. The Chain CC comes in, but he has the cleanse. Pulls back. A brief opportunity. Vizicsacsi wants to go and wants to keep the fight going, but Hjärnan is not the one that they've hit. In goes PerkZ. He's looking for a time. He's looking for a chance. Wunder is going to get taken down. That's the shutdown. Vizicsacsi free hitting into the middle of the team. NukeDuck now in the middle of everything. Jankos could be next. Upset. Not going to find the reset on the jump. They have to pull back.
I was hoping.
If Vizicacsi's going to live. And the Baron now set in the sights. Jankos can steal, but he has no flash. He has no health. He has the Warmogs to heal up, but it's just a matter of time.
And it's almost too risky for him to try, because if he dies, then suddenly the base
G2 are doing the same trade again. They're trying to get Elder.
I don't think they can kill in time, can they?
Upset's on the way. They can't give second Elder up to
PerkZ is
Schalke.
not there. PerkZ went up towards the Baron instead of being with the team to provide more damage.
If Pride steals this, Schalke win the game. Absolutely,
they can just fight
too strong. They don't even see him. He's going to throw it out. He wants to go over the wall. It's low. Jankos does secure it. That is a hope. That is a chance. But Vander goes in. The team is split. Hjärnan is immediately going to get cut through. Goodbye to you, sir. Not enough time left for G2.
But G2 right there, they're split up again. PerkZ went towards the Baron while the other 3 members went to Elder Drake. So it took them forever to kill it. And all of Schalke just walked down and took them down. They're going straight for the base.
This is exactly what they wanted. They're pushing in. They can end right here. PerkZ is almost out of mana. Wadid would have to block all of the auto attacks in the world. Wunder, the last stand, comes in. Schalke are looking for the victory lap here. Sights set on playoffs. Will this be their win? Will they deny G2 their bye? Will they deny them their way into the semifinals? It is time to see. Wunder is getting taken down. They are cutting through him. Upset is uncontested. They have the Baron minion. Deficio. Schalke keep the playoff dream alive.
2-0 week for Schalke. They take down G2 eSports. They now enter week 9 tied for 5th place. They can still decide this on their own. It took them 8 weeks to get to this point. It took them 8 weeks to play 2 games where in the late game they could rely on their carries, Upset and NukeDuck. No mistakes from them. Always dishing out a ton of damage on their side.
And every single fight, every single pick, every single moment from 30 minutes on was so tense, Deficio. Literally all
Just
it took
so
was,
much on the line.
was one carry to die, and the game could have ended for either team. And Schalke continued to find the small advantages, continued to find the fights. The man on your screen now, Pride, a huge part of that. We were playing League of Legends, he was playing Splinter Cell. This man was sneaking his way into the back line, making his presence known. We thought it would be so hard for him to do anything in the late game, but between him and Vizicsacsi, they made these fights look easy.
And I gotta turn it over to G2 then. Out of the last 5 games, just when we start playing for these crucial playoff spots, they have now lost 4 out of 5. This is a team who's fallen apart completely. They can't play the late game, they can't play the early game. There were so many split decisions this game, just the last one. 3 guys to Elder Drake, 1 guy sightseeing around Baron, and suddenly they get collapsed on at the Elder Drake because they can't take it down in time. I'm sure there's a reason for all of it.
I just don't understand the trade, man. I mean, I get it if you get second Elder, and I get that you want to deny it to Schalke, but you have to contest that Baron, man. You can't defend against that comp. You don't have the wave clear to stop those minions.
At least if you go for Elder Drake, have both your carries there. Late game carries, 6 items, spend 50 minutes farming. You need them there to kill that Elder Drake. Otherwise, you're not going to get it in time. But there were, of course, other things like that big engage from PerkZ, where he didn't see enough members of Schalke. He thought he could be the hero. He jumps and he dies. That's the first Baron for Schalke. That was the big turning point in this game in favor of Schalke, and they didn't let go. The carries performed in the fights. Pride found openings for himself, and Chachi on this Maokai get to the late game, and he can add a ton of value.
It was so good. These engages were so clean coming in from him. Well, for more on Schalke's win, let's head over to Pyra and hear for their mid laner.
Thank you very much, Drakos. I'm joined by NukeDuck, and man, what a walloping game that was back and forth. The fans are still lit up right now here in the studio. NukeDuck, at what point in that game did you realize, holy shit, we're gonna beat G2?
I think already, like, starting from like draft, it was like so comfortable for us, and I mean, we just won every team fight, so it felt like we were in control, like, pretty much the whole game.
It certainly seemed like you guys had tightened things up. This week, you finally got yourselves a 2-0 after such a rough split. What was different coming into this week that you guys hadn't shown all split so far?
I think we had the like mindset shift because we had a sports psychologist coming in, and I think he helps us a lot. And also the compositions we play are better, I think, too. So yeah, those 2 things, yeah.
So things are definitely tightening up for you guys. Now, you are still live for the playoff race right now. You're in that 5th place tie. What specifically does Schalke 04 have to do to make sure you're going to secure it?
I mean, we are going to have to go 2-0 next week to secure it, I think. But I think if we keep playing as we play, I think we can take down Fnatic as well. So, and HK, yeah.
Wow, you can take it on both those teams. You're not even worried about either of them at this point.
I mean, I'm at least sure that we can win if we play our best.
I'm looking forward to it. Are we going to see any extra special NukeDuck carry champions, or are you going to stick to the standard meta stuff?
We might.
Okay, I was trying to sneak that one out of you, trying to sneak it out of you. All right, so now you are a huge veteran on this team. Like, you've been around for so long, going all the way back to Season 3 and even beyond. Now, Schalke as an organization, it really seems to have grown a lot over this split. What, in your eyes, has been like the biggest change for you guys, besides that sports psychologist? How far have things gone for you?
I think we just had some like bad weeks of practice where like there was like multiple different reasons. Like maybe people didn't give, you know, like that 110% that we need from everyone, you know, to be able to compete here. So I think now everyone just tries like a little bit harder, and I think that's the difference.
So just a little bit gets you guys over the edge. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the next weeks. Once again, congratulations on that 2-0 week.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and send it off to the post-game lobby. Shaks, Vedi, take it away.